with you. I can be sad with you. Just take my hand and fly up through the dreams where the skies are so clear. With you, I wanna stay with you.
You know, I think the greatest God-given gift is the gift of a child. And it's a parent's duty, especially in the child's formative years, to give them stability, confidence, encouragement, lots of common sense, and loads and loads of love. Of course, I also believe as a Christian that love is God-given, because that's what God is, you see. God is love. I think the young people today have to cope with a far faster life than we did in my generation. When's the last time that you got a pen and a piece of paper and sat and wrote a letter? And then stuck it in an envelope, stamped it, and walked down to the post office with it. I mean, it's a long time ago, isn't it? Not many people do that these days. It's all immediate. And that's what they're born with, young people. They're born with immediacy, fast. Twitter, Facebook, emails, Instagram. Send it out immediately get a reply, immediately act upon it. It's fast, isn't it? And they all have what we call handheld computers. In other words, a mobile phone or an iPad. Because that is their window on the world, isn't it? That and television is their window on the world. So their knowledge is actually wider than ours was at their age. They have far more knowledge. And they go to college and they study, and they've got piles of homework to do, and many of them also have a part-time job. I think it's fast. I never to do that. I did a milk run in the morning. That would be my part-time job. But I had no fast pace to keep up, really. Not really. I made this film to try and help them cope with the unexpected events that happen as you go through life. I often make a point by illustrating with a bit of magic. Of course, I am a magician, you know. So this is you. And you go through life. You seem to just jog along, and when you're young, everything, you've got loads of time, but time really does go fast, you know. Believe me, at my age, I realise that. Time just goes, you look back and you think, where has all the time gone? Well, you go to primary school, you'll go to high school, you might go to college, or you might get a job, you might end up going to university, etc., etc. But any time along that line, at any point along that line, when you least expect it, suddenly, bang, something's changed. A disaster or a crisis has confronted you. Can it be fixed? Can you fix it? Can anybody fix it? Is that it forever? Will it never be fixed at all? Oh dear. You might have to just cope with it as it is now, forever. I mean, all we want really is for things to go back to how they were before the crisis. Restoration is the word. And sometimes, well, that's not possible. You just have to find a solution to get to the end of it. In a few minutes, you're going to meet some brave, ordinary people. Brave because they sat in front of a camera and they are talking to you now. And they're telling you how they felt when they were confronted by a sudden crisis that came out of the blue and floored them. They're going to tell you how they felt, how they worked through it to reach a solution. Prayers can work wonders based on a strong faith, because after you've said the final amen, the problem will still be there, oh yes, but you seem to get this strength and this capability of facing your problem and being able to work through it. So I would say prayer is great. Of course, there's nothing worse than someone saying, I know how you feel, or I can feel your pain. Especially if the listener knows full well that they do not, then you do risk a verbal abuse. Quite right too. The film starts with a drama featuring a young one-parent family. And they're just jogging along too, as many families do. Suddenly a crisis hits them and it floors them, and they have to deal with this. That's bereavement. Then we go on to explore other forms of bereavement, because there are other forms of bereavement other than the death of a loved one, although that is a hard thing to deal with. But there's also bereavement of, well, one day your dad might walk into the house and say, right, I've finally got that job I was after. It's in Inverness and I start in 2 weeks. So start packing, everybody. And you might say, what? Stop. What? We're moving. Up sticks and going. What about? I've always lived here. I love this place. I've loads of friends here. If I leave, I might never see my friends again. Yeah, that's bereavement. Then there's the other bereavement, divorce of parents. Well, that can be a stunner. And the casualties are usually the innocents. It's like the carpet is whipped from right under your feet and you are stunned and you try your hardest to deal with it. Well, people with experience can help. Divorce of parents can leave deep scars, scars that can take a long time to heal. And in some cases, if I'm honest, they never really heal. You just learn how to cope. So the film starts with that drama and we follow through various forms of bereavement. I hope the film helps you, and I hope you find solutions that you might be looking for within it. If you enjoy the film and you'd feel like leaving a comment, please do, and I promise I will answer all comments personally. You might want to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I want to shoot a little red box somewhere at the bottom of the screen and it's got the word subscribe written on it. Please, I ask you every time, please hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you any money, it's free. But it helps me. Why don't you do it now? Just go on, do it now, it's all over. Thank you for watching this film. I hope it's helpful. Here then is What If?
Hi, Ernie. Stop out your false teeth again?
You cheeky young sod. What you could do with is a proper job instead of pouncing around on a bike like that.
It's the image, Ernie. It attracts all the birds. They can't keep away from me.
When I was your age, we hadn't time to bother with things like that. Too busy earning a living.
Go on.
You youngsters, you just don't realise how hard life was in those days.
Tell you what, when I get back after tea,
Pity they did away with national service.
I'll give you half an hour. How about that?
That'd have made a man of you. What? What are you talking about?
I'll help you with the digging.
Well, right.
There's no way an old wrinkly like you's gonna get that job done on yourself.
You cheeky young devil.
Alright. Home, if anybody's interested. Who's the greatest then? Ask me who won.
Who's the greatest then? Who won?
I was fantastic. You should have seen me on that final lap. And the applause.
My hero. Oi!
Not the scarf again.
Well, it's your birthday soon, isn't it?
When you started that scarf, they were in the first division. Now they're in the fourth.
Well, I want to make a good job of it.
Any phone calls?
No, she hasn't rung.
What do you mean, she?
Sarah Bradshaw.
That was last week. You're way behind the times.
Oh, yes. And talking of women, Mum's not best pleased with you. Your report arrived this morning.
Oh my God. I thought they didn't go out until next week.
Feet.
Hello, Mum. Didn't hear you come in. Had a nice day. You're looking really beautiful this evening.
Yeah, well, never mind the soft soap. What's all this?
Is that my report by any chance?
It's not funny, Phil. I don't know what you think you're playing at. You did so well last year. Everyone said how well you'd do in your mocks. And now this.
And I will, Mum. No problem.
Well, it doesn't look like it. Needs to do better. Can do much better than this. History, 23%. You were top in history last year.
Just a minor blip, Mum. Don't worry. Trust me.
Just a minor blip. Your year tutor says that if you don't get down to it now, well, he doesn't fancy your chances at all.
Oh.
It's that bike. I knew I'd regret buying it. You think of nothing else these days and have a good mind to get rid of it.
Hey, steady on, Mum. You can't do that.
Oh, can't I? Well, just see if I can't. I rang school this afternoon and made an appointment to see your form tutor and in a month's time. And if things haven't improved by then your bike goes.
Oh.
Do you understand?
It's a bit much, Mum.
Yes, well, it's up to you.
I'll get down to it. Starting now.
Well, just see that you do. Oh, look, Phil, I don't mean to nag. I worry. It's just that since your dad left, I feel it's my responsibility.
Mum,
What?
with your hair there.
Get away with you.
Hello? Who's speaking, please? Yes, I'll just get him for you. Phil?
What?
It's for you.
Who is it?
It's Wendy.
Wendy? Hi. Yeah, great. Tonight? Well, a bit of a problem. Lots of homework today. I had this bad report, you see. I'll tell you what, I can sneak out now, just for half an hour. Okay. See you soon. Bye. Mum?
Yes?
Just going round to Gary's. He needs some help with his homework.
Don't mind how you go.
Right, won't be long.
5.
5 o'clockish.
Forever and ever towards those that fear him, and his righteousness upon their children's children. We have entrusted our brother Philip to God's merciful keeping, and we now commit his body to the ground, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, in sure and certain hope of the resurrection to eternal life.
Had a nice day. You're looking really beautiful this evening. Not the scarf again.
Rose again for us. To him be glory forever and ever. Unto him that is able to keep us from falling, and to present us faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. To the only wise God our Saviour, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and ever. Amen.
Tragic, isn't it? Such a waste. And there's some very unhappy people left behind. Left to cope as best they can, and a lot of unfinished business. Death. It's very scary, isn't it? It's the only event that everyone alive today is certain of going through. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, one day you will die. And yet, strangely enough, it's something for which we usually make no preparation.
It isn't something we like to talk about, or even think about, but it's everywhere around us. And as we have seen, it can happen very suddenly. Our attitude to death in this country has changed a great deal over the last 100 years. In Victorian times, people of all social classes loved nothing more than to talk about death and funerals. For them, there was nothing like giving someone a good send-off.
Today, we don't seem to want to know. We hardly like to talk about it. And when we are faced with it, we often try and pretend it hasn't happened. We even go to great lengths to try and disguise it. Just an orange juice, please.
Have you heard about old Jimmy?
No.
He's been laid to rest.
Nay. Passed over, you mean?
Slipped away.
Well, that's dreadful. Hey.
Sorry, what was that about old Jimmy?
He's gone. Popped his clogs.
Kicked a bucket?
Yeah.
Heard about old Jimmy?
No, what about old Jimmy?
Kicked a bucket.
Hey, snuffed it.
There's not much mention of death in there, is there? But is this how it should be? If a person dies, a relative or a close friend, then you have certain needs. We call this grieving. And grieving is an important part of bereavement. Pretending it hasn't happened is no good either for you or for those around you.
Many of us find it difficult to talk to someone who is recently bereaved. This is usually because we are frightened of saying the wrong thing, or we are afraid of upsetting them. But a bereaved person needs to talk. It is one of the stages they have to go through.
It was a beautiful morning on the 1st of May. He'd gone to work at 7:30, and at 7:45 he was killed. A car cut straight across his path in front of him, and a motorcyclist doesn't have a chance. It's very, very sad when your own mother dies or your own father dies, but they've had their life and they've had their children. But You can't accept losing a child. I just felt terrific pain when I heard the news. I lost my memory with the shock. And that is gradually coming back now after 8 months. My memory is slowly coming back. But I also felt the sudden physical pain, almost as though I was feeling his pain.
The Christmas before he was killed, we bought our parents a pair of curtains together, and that required planning. We put them up on Christmas Eve at 5 o'clock in the morning. That was a happy memory. Sharing secrets, I miss that very much. I feel a lot of anger, especially towards the person that killed him. And I haven't been able to let that anger out.
You have to come to terms with your loss, and this means not only feelings of loneliness, but of great pain and anger.
Rebecca's boyfriend, he got hold of me and he said, well, your dad was killed on a motorbike this afternoon. I said, no, he's not. And I found it, you know, because the first thing that pops into your mind is that you're not going to see them again, you know. There's something about Dad, because he was so big and everything, that you thought he'd be around forever, you know. He was indestructible, and I just couldn't believe it. My granddad said to me, think as if he's on a long holiday, but there's no point in doing that because he's not coming back. And when I see people, when I'm in the car with Mum, pull out in front of us or something, I feel like getting out of the car and saying, you know, it's people like you that's killed my dad.
Friends think they're helping you and they try and help you and talk to you, but they don't understand, and you want them to understand. Helen said to me, I wish they knew how I felt, and I said, well, that's not fair, you can't expect that. I felt guilty because I didn't feel upset at first. I cried when I went to see him. Helen shouted at him and told him that it wasn't fair. And she said that he couldn't do this to us, and it was very irresponsible. But we told him that, you know, we understood it wasn't his fault, and we knew that it wouldn't have happened if he could have prevented it. And we just told him that we love him and that we miss him, and we just said goodbye, really.
My son was angry at the driver, angry at everybody, angry at the police. But he calmed down. The girls were just very, very distressed and tearful, but they're all coping with it in their own ways. But fortunately, as a family, we can talk about Tony, and that's every day. Every mealtime, every incident that happens, Tony is talked about. And that's one of the ways I think that we're coping with it. But I think they've helped me more than I've helped them, because they've all united to look after Mum, which has been very nice.
If it's a situation like my dad's was, where it was somebody else in the car, don't feel angry, don't let your grief turn into anger, which is what I did for a long time. And it held back the process of being able to cry, because I was so busy being angry with somebody else that I wasn't letting my own feelings come out. I mean, I blame that man for all sorts, but then I thought, well, you know, he's probably sat at home, he knows what he's done, he also knows that he's left a big family with 4 children. He feels upset enough, he's probably, you know, suffering enough as it is. I know that if Dad had done the same to somebody else, he certainly wouldn't have wanted their family to feel angry or to feel any hate against him, but try and forget the sad things about it and get on with you know, living your own life.
She was 41 when she died. She died of a brain hemorrhage. My brother was holding her in his arms and he was crying, and he was saying phone an ambulance. So I phoned an ambulance, and it seemed like a long time since he got there. And when they got her, they locked me and my brother's son in a room so they wouldn't see what they was doing to her. And he come in about 10 minutes later. He put his arms around me and he said that my mum was dead. And I was crying until I couldn't hardly breathe. It was just terrible, just thinking that my mum wasn't here anymore.
Some of you watching this film will know something about loss, even though you may not have experienced the death of someone close to you. Moving to a new district and leaving all your friends behind is a loss that can leave you feeling desperately sad and lonely.
I wasn't sure whether I'd get friends at this school. I felt like I wanted to take my old friends with me and just change the school. You've got to try and mix and find a group, preferably 1 or 2 people who are in a situation like yours so that they understand and so you can go and talk to them. And also not to try and just lead your own life and keep everybody out, you know, not try and be a loner.
My dad said he'd gone for an interview for the position of a better job. I didn't want to move at all. I didn't know the place where I was moving to, knew nothing about it. I was going to miss my friends who I'd grown up with. I mean, I'd never known anywhere else except Liverpool. I'd never been anywhere else. So I was pretty scared. You've just got to take it at your own pace and try and mix, but don't be too pushy.
I worry. It's just that since your dad left, I feel it's my responsibility.
So too can the grief and anger and frustration and guilt that many suffer when their parents decide to separate or divorce.
I feel a bit guilty now because I didn't help my mum as much as I could have done then, because now I realise what she actually did go through.
It's difficult at school and stuff when people don't know and they say it's parents' evening and teachers say to you, your mum and dad coming tonight, and that's what hurts when they don't understand. But I think it's better to have one parent that's happy than the 2 living together and they're not happy.
Sometimes, especially when a death is sudden, there are feelings of guilt or unfinished business to come to terms with. It's especially sad when someone dies so young, but grieving doesn't become easier simply because a person is old.
It was about 2 years ago my grandma died. She didn't live with us, but she'd come for tea, and all of a sudden she just had a stroke at the dinner table. At first I didn't want to tell anybody what I felt because I felt that it was Mum that needed the help, you know, so we kind of all helped Mum and didn't realise that we needed help as well. I kept everything inside and I think that was bad really because it bottled up so much. Eventually I did tell my dad I needed to cry. I needed to have some way to, you know, let my emotions out. And after I had cried, I felt a lot better.
So you can see, the death of a loved one affects people differently, and there are many ways of coping with it. But it is never easy. For some, death comes suddenly. There is no warning, and those left behind have to cope as best they can. Others are given time. They have a chance to prepare themselves. In this hospice in the north of England, the patients are terminally ill, but they are encouraged to live life to the full, as far as they are able. And perhaps this is the secret of facing death, to accept death as part of life. Many people believe that death is not the end, but that they go on to a fuller life.
I think the thing that is most important for me to get through to people is that a hospice is a place concerned with life and living. It's a place where people can achieve potential, where they can put something into life. It's about accomplishment, and in a lot of instances it's about triumph as well. I don't think there's anything that you can say that will make it easy. Sorrow and pain is part of living. And it's something that we all have to go through. You can't take it away, you can't live it for somebody else, it's there. But on reflection, I think everyone would accept that the love that there was is worth the pain. Because not to feel pain means that you never loved. And I think that alternative is awful. To never care about anyone enough to miss them. To never care about anyone enough to cry when they've gone. That means that you've lived a very empty life.
With you, I can be sad with you. Just take my hand and fly up through the dreams where the skies are so clear. With you, I wanna stay with you. With you, I love the way that you love me today. Let's run up through the fields where the sun shines and heals. With you, I wanna stay with you. It's been so cold since you have been gone. Like I was told, you're the only one. It's been so cold since you have been gone. Like I was told, you're the only one. I can't be sad with you. Just take my hand and fly up to the clouds where the